What is going on, YouTube? Today what we're going to be doing is a bit different. Instead of kind of going through the new characters like I had planned to, obviously last video I did Super Saiyan God Goku, it occurred to me that everyone's a player just like me, right? And the first thing I do when I see new characters is I go and I read everything that's about them, right? All the new abilities and stuff like that. And essentially, as a viewer, I feel like going to a video would be more relevant if we skipped kind of the obvious stuff and focus more on, let's say, a thinking process, right? How they are relevant right now, what would make them not relevant, how they would be relevant in the future, kind of get that kind of way of thinking. And obviously I would love to hear you guys contribute to that in the comments below. So now without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright guys, so as usual on your screen are the details for the giveaway. Make sure that you go back to all these dates here to get all of your answers for the 2 questions I'll be asking you throughout the video. Those are your chances to win the giveaway ultimately. Make sure that you're subscribed, you must be a subscriber to enter, and that you're liking the video. Without further ado, let's get into this video. So, as I said, we're going to be doing something very different today. Now, essentially I want to go over each unit because they do have specifics which can make them relevant this meta if you fall under certain conditions. Now, obviously I went over Super Saiyan God Goku in the last video. Now, what I do want to mention is kind of clear up why specifically he is not kind of fitting in the current meta. Obviously, we'll have to wait until we actually have God units, but for the time being, he must fit on the Saiyan team, specifically because of this right here. So let's go have a look at this ability here called Higher. So 30% damage inflicted when attack Saiyan and this character is a battle member. Now that sounds great, but let's not forget, he doesn't have an anti-tag, so we kind of have to take it as is. And the main issue is the existence of Super Saiyan Bardock. Now obviously we're assuming that you have Purple Broly. I mean, the unit's basically pay to win at this point, so we do have to assume that you have him and that you're running him every single game. Now, the fact that we do have the synergy here with the Bardock and the Broly, you have to kind of assume that you're also running Super Gogeta. And if you're running Super Gogeta, he's getting the buff from the Bardock as well, and he is also getting a stacking buff from using cards. Ultimately, it's just going to be a better pick for that kind of synergy. That being said, if you do not own the Super Saiyan Bardock, then by all means use Super Saiyan God Goku, because he is not getting that extra buff that puts him on par with the Gogeta and arguably does more damage, because the earlier cards end up doing more damage than Gogeta, since he has to wait until the later cards in order to do it. It's not efficient because you don't always have max ki, and it just overall is a better unit in that sense. Fine. But overall, if you're trying to run him and you do have, all of the units you've been rolling on the banners, maybe if you pulled him once, right, the Super Saiyan Bardock here, it does make him not worth bringing. That being said, let's go into our other units because we have some very, very interesting stuff to look at today. So let's go right here because it's going to be just easier to go through. So first is our Kaioken Goku. Now this is interesting, okay, because I want to look at the stats here after transformation. So keep in mind these stats: 90, 80, 60, 58. Just keep that in mind for a second. 90, 80, 60, 58. Let's move over to 3-star Broly because mine is 5-star, so we're going to keep it, compare apples to apples here. After transformation, 85, 87, 55, 54. That is right. Kaioken Goku has better stats than Broly, I mean except for the blast, but if we're looking at their main attack, it is superior to Broly. Now, is that an issue? Well, here's the thing. Broly fits on the movie team. Like I said, has bears the ability, gets the damage reduction from switching with Red Fury Broly. Now, the difference maker is if we go back to our Kaioken Goku, and you look at after transformation, and you look at this right here. 3 times Kaioken. So he pops Kaioken, you can then go 3 times Kaioken, and this will restore your own Vanish Gauge by 40%, give you 30% to damage inflicted, activates once and cannot be cancelled. So you basically have this for the full duration of your Kaioken. You're just hitting like a truck with stats that are superior to Broly's. Just think about that for a second here. You're getting bonus key recovery, and your special move arts turns into 4 times Kaioken Kamehameha. So, what does that look like? After using your special arts, you deal 100% more damage. Now, if you've used this with these kinds of stats and the extra damage and all that good stuff, you are one-shotting people with this. This is basically the kind of extra, I mean, I guess a different, not an extra, but a different way of self-destructing. I think they've gotten over the whole self-destruct, instead they went with this. So if you do use this, okay, it's not just one-shot people over and over. No, you use this and you reduce your own health by 50% and you cancel your transformation. So let's go back to before transformation, and these are your stats. And suddenly it's not so interesting anymore, right? Your defenses go to hell, your health gets dropped by 50%. You know, you have to be careful using this. Now, using your arts cards during your transformation, when you have these stats and you have this active giving you 30% more damage and you're just popping your strike and your blast, then yes, you are doing a ton of damage. So, does Kaioken Goku fit in the meta? Well, for that, we have to look at our team comp. Okay, so let's go back into our character screen here and let's take a look at our team. So let's remove the God Goku there and let's pretend we have our Kaioken Goku there. Well, if you wanted to run double blue purple, this would most likely be how you would do it, because you would be able to run the Super Saiyan Bardock along with the Broly and get that synergy going. And you would also have an extra blue unit, which is completely fine to run right now, considering how many reds we have, how little greens we have because of the Broly existing. It's really just that perfect kind of synergy right now to run double blue purple. I prefer to run a red just in case, because some people do still run, for example, the Frieza Force, if you want to have a red unit for Frieza. But overall, double blue is fine. And you would still be able to buff the Broly without losing any kind of potential synergy, right? Because you would just be running 2 blues. He's going to get more damage than if you were buffing the Fist Coup, for example, just because his stats are so much better and he's getting that 30% more damage. You know, but you do need your ducks aligned. You need to wait to bring him out to go Kaioken form. Just don't use him if you don't have it up. You do need that green card. Remember that the green card is what makes this all happen, makes this all work out. So if that does happen, he does fit. So do keep that in mind. I'm not sure how that's going to be worth, what that's going to be worth rather in the future, because he does only bring a blue Z ability buff, which is why you would run him with the Bardock, so at least you're getting some kind of synergy out of it, right? Now, the next unit I want to talk about, I'm actually going to go out of order that I wanted to follow, just because it fits with the whole transformation here. Let's go find, actually Beerus is not on the banner because I would need a ticket. I already used them all, so let's go find him in the character list here. So we want Beerus, which is down here, and I want to show you his little main thing. Where is it? Realm of Gods and Aura of Destruction. Here it is. So Aura of Destruction, if you look at the bottom there, seals all enemies, not just the one that's on the field, but all enemies' main abilities for 10 timer counts every time this character enters the battlefield, and it activates 3 times. So what is the issue right now with the current meta? Well, if you look at these 2 overpowered trucks, we have the Kaioken Goku and the Broly. When they transform, they go beast mode and they're doing all kinds of damage, right? Beerus, everyone has been talking a lot of ish about him, and I have to say, guys, if you're thinking in an efficient way, you're trying to be smart about your play, how to counter the meta. A lot of people have been asking me, how do you counter Broly? How do you counter Broly? How do you counter Broly? And I keep saying, I mean, he's paid to win. And I mean, this doesn't stop what I believe makes him overpowered. I don't think that his stats make him overpowered. It's the whole blast armor and, you know, just switching people out that you don't want to fight and all that stuff. But that being said, having something that can remove his transformation, I mean, you have to wait the initial duration, then add 10 timer counts 3 times, right? So if you've got a rotation going and you're kind of keeping an eye on the timer, and you make sure that you bring Beerus in after, let's say, 9 seconds, 10 seconds, right before he can switch, you can essentially go for at a solid 40 seconds of the match. That's almost a minute, where you don't have to deal with transformations. That goes for Kaioken, that goes for the Super Saiyan Broly. This is a big deal. This is a very, very big deal in a meta that can one-shot you. Being able to remove that is excellent, okay? Otherwise, he doesn't do that much interesting. I mean, he's got the whole nullifying thing. He's got bonus damage here. He's got bonus damage there. He's got, you know, massive damage here. That's fine. Minus the key recovery for 35 timer counts, you know. But it's nothing kind of game-breaking. But this right here, Aura of Destruction, may be what we needed. Now, my only issue here, there's kind of like another side to this, is he has no supporting team. He is just a flat-out god, period, and he does not have a team to support him. So I mean, you would, I guess, have to run him with the Super Saiyan God Goku to kind of get some kind of buffs going. So there's possibly a way to work that out. I will be doing a lot of testing this weekend. Maybe there's a way to kind of make this worthwhile. But for now, we're looking at something very difficult to run because of the Broly, right? The fact that he exists and that he is a purple unit, it's going to be hard to kind of justify bringing Beerus in and tanking the Broly here, because remember how difficult it is to attack Broly in the first place because he goes through your blast cards. Very, very difficult to make happen. The green coloring there makes it tough, but do keep that in mind. There is a use here, especially as we're going to get these transforming units. They are limited to their main abilities, and Beerus existing may be an issue in the future, so do keep that in mind. He is not quite as bad as people are making him out to be, right? Now, back to our banner, because I do want to keep this a 3-star discussion. We're going to go and see Vegeta, which is our last unit that we will be covering in this video. Now, obviously, we've talked about, you know, in an extensive amount over the forums and stuff like that, what he does, but I want to focus on the endurance, I believe it is. It is endurance. So obviously here we have a unit that can sponge up the Rising Rush. We have a unit that not only sponges up the Rising Rush, but if you actually look at the synergy between his other abilities, right? So restore your own health by 20% was 30% of damage inflicted for 10 timer counts. So after you die, you come back 20% health and you do 30% more damage. But you can actually stack things on top of each other. If you use your main ability after that point, you gain another 25% of your health. So you basically go back up to half health, and you do an extra 30% strike damage with more key restore as well. So essentially, you use him as a Rising Rush sponge. He dies, he comes back with half health and 60% more damage, basically, is what you're looking at. So this is not a bad unit at all. Again, though, the only issue, there's kind of like a double-edged sword here for all of these units. He has a green unit. So this is not a unit that you're necessarily going to have to Rising Rush to get his passive out of the way, because Broly can just literally punch him into death. His stats, I mean, if you look at his defenses, not very high here. We're sitting at 53, 52. This is not going to be able to survive Broly just beating in on him. It's the type of unit where you're going to have to use him sparingly, and of course he brings that greens the ability, which I absolutely hate. I really wish this unit was yellow, maybe. It would have made him a lot more worthwhile, because then he would have been able to survive the Broly a bit better. At least put him neutral, right? So that he can survive, and you do have to consider Rising Rushing him in order to remove either his first health bar or that second health bar that's going to be coming in. You gotta have to make decisions here. Here you just kind of bring in Broly and just let him do his thing, right? Don't forget that when you have type disadvantage or type advantage, you're looking at like a 50% cut, I think it is. So, I mean, these buffs kind of get wasted in that sense because of Broly's existence. And this is going to be a topic of discussion for a few seasons to come now, because Broly's existence kind of ruins it for everybody, right? It makes it very difficult. So, question number 1 here is going to be, for the giveaway, of course, what do you think will be happening with the Gogeta? Because this is what we're all waiting for, and I think that Bandai is watching us right now. They're trying to figure out, okay, what do we need to do? They're trying different things, and they're trying to think, what is required to stall Broly. So now the Beerus here, the Beerus development is going to be very interesting to watch, because having something that stops the transformations, that can be an issue for this cozy little meta that Broly's put together here, right? Now your second question for the giveaway will be, as far as these units are concerned, have you been using them since we last discussed them, and do you think that we're looking at a potential for the future where we're going to have, I guess, an overpowered team, especially looking at that Kaioken Goku? I think that this is going to be an issue just because he can do so much damage and then one-shot you at the end with his blue card. I think that we're moving into a power creep meta that essentially will make all of the units who don't have these huge buffs relatively useless, but we'll have to see. With that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this kind of take on looking at units where we're not necessarily just going through all their abilities and stuff like that. In the next video, I'm gonna probably be dropping the best teams video a little bit early for January, just because by Monday, if I'm looking at dates right now, on Monday will actually be the 31st, so close enough. And since it's New Year's, honestly, I'm gonna be going out. I don't know about you guys, but I don't work on the 1st. I will be going out, so I'll probably be running the video this weekend and dropping that on Sunday night. But anyways, guys, that's all I've got for you for today. I will catch you guys in the next one, and be sure to hit that subscribe button, because the teams video, wait until I show off that movie team. Take it easy, guys. Bye.